We're a little bit late to the game, we know, but we're gonna do our division and wild card picks for the NFL. We apologize for being a week late. Um, been unfortunately very busy, both of us, and so I'm not gonna be unbiased. I'm being straight up honest. I'm gonna pick the teams that I had picked, even though I saw obviously what happened all of the first week. So I'm gonna stick with my what I originally would have predicted. So
It's
yeah.
very noble of you.
Oh, you're gonna change your picks, aren't you?
I don't think I am. I mean, I'm gonna try not to be biased by 1 week. Like a lot can happen,
It's true.
like just in a week that doesn't mean anything long term.
That's
So
fair.
I'm gonna do my best not to remain caught up in the moment of a week plus the Ravens Steelers game that is happening as we speak. Um, so I think I'll keep everything the same, but who knows?
That's fair. So I guess we'll start in the NFC. Let's just start with the NFC North, my division. Well, I guess our division, since you're a Packer fan too. Yeah, I'm picking the Packers. I let's see. I'm picking the Packers to win the division. I think I just don't think the Lions they'll manage to fall apart somehow, some way, come near the end, halfway through the season.
You don't think the new coaching staff's gonna prevent that from happening?
No, and I know like we shouldn't be doing these now, but we are. I'm glad they beat up on the Giants. The Giants are a terrible team. Let's be real. Yes, I know everyone. The Packers last lost to Seattle. Yes, I get it. But come on, if anyone else in the NFC North had to play Seattle to open the regular season in Seattle, they would have got their butt kicked too. So
Yeah, I mean the Green Bay did obviously have a very interesting strategy offensively in that game by just avoiding a third of the field, which
thanks a lot, Aaron Rodgers, for not having the manhood to go and throw the ball against Richard Sherman. I appreciate it. God, you and coach. I don't know whose bright idea that was, but that should never happen again.
what do they play? The Chargers this week or something? Yeah, Philip Rivers said he's not going to avoid Richard Sherman, so Rich will actually get to play and have an impact at least on balls thrown in the air his way. So we'll see what happens if Aaron Rodgers made a smart choice or not. Obviously, it didn't seem to work, so it's probably a terrible choice given the outcome. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Green Bay as well.
You think?
Well, I am going Green Bay. They do have the best quarterback in the division, though. I mean, Stafford obviously looked good, but like you said, it was the Giants, and he's throwing to Calvin Johnson. Anybody look good throwing to Calvin Johnson? Um, I mean, Minnesota was actually fairly impressive. Um, you
Brett,
know,
the
your
Rams
boy.
are calling you or me right now to try and get us to play quarterback for them. Are you serious? Sean Hill got hurt too now.
That's true. I mean, they're obviously not going to. In the West, obviously, we're going to get there, but the Rams have no chance anymore. Not that they had one before, but now it's like a 0% chance. Um, yeah, I'm going to go North. I would just wish Green Bay's defense, I don't mind the system or whatever, especially they were messing around that first week, figuring everything out in a game because they've made some changes. But even then, some of the guys are just not assignment sound, and then when they are, they just can't tackle.
Oh yeah, we had. I read a stat today on. I think it was Pro Football Folk. I don't know. The Packers had 18 total missed tackles. The rest of the NFC North had 16.
Yeah, so in our one game, we missed more tackles than the other
The
three
whole
teams.
rest of the division. Yeah, that's terrible. That can't happen.
And I mean, you can draw that up to scheme and coaching, but at the same time, players just got to go out there, and if you hit a guy at that point, it's just making the play. Um, I guess Brad Jones didn't help himself. Maybe it's a good thing that he's going to be injured for a week, and we can see how Lattimore plays.
He's
Coach told the training staff to say he was hurt, so he couldn't play.
um, so we've only got the Packers in the NFC North.
Yep.
How about the NFC South, Brett?
The NFC South. I'm going with
My pick, by the way.
I'm going New Orleans. Though that defense should probably show up next time.
That's true. I am picking the Atlanta Falcons, who I originally called with Matty Ice to get back on track. Oh, Atlanta's back. They're healthy. They just won a shootout against Drew Brees. Granted, it was in Atlanta. Yeah, I get it, but
Well, that too, and Marcus Colston fumbling the ball in overtime pretty much sealed the deal.
Yeah, that killed. They were already at field goal position in overtime, but Matty Ice he's got ice in his veins. Brett leads his team down to kick the field goal to send it to overtime. Tell ya.
Where was the defense? I was at Best Buy, and we don't get to stream games live at Best Buy. Working. So where was the defense on either team in the last like 3 minutes? Didn't they score like 17 points?
I have no idea what was going on.
Like, can you be legitimately impressed with either? I mean, offensively, you're obviously going to be impressed with both, especially with New Orleans and Drew Brees. We all know what they can do. But then with Atlanta, and if everyone's going to be healthy, um, even without Tony Gonzalez, they'll put up points. But defensively, are they good enough to at least withstand, if they make the playoffs, like doing any damage?
Yeah, that's gonna be a true test to see if that defense is any good. Drew Brees makes a lot of defenses look bad though, so I'm more shocked that I think the number 3 rated defense last year looked. Matty Ice just torched them for a career high like 445 passing yards. I'm talking about. Anyways, though, let's see. I guess we could move on to. We'll save the West for last. We'll move on to the NFC East. Oh boy.
I'm gonna pick the only team to win last week. Go with Philly. And they didn't look very impressive for a half either, obviously being down 17-0 at one point to the Jaguars. But I mean, offensively, I know they have the ability, and then obviously, in the second half they stepped up. Again, Jacksonville, I know, but shutting the team out in the entire second half. And then just the rest of that division looks like garbage, like just a complete dumpster fire of a division. So I mean, Philly by default for me.
Well, let's see. I'm going to stick with my original pick that I was going to make. So I am going to stick with the Washington Redskins. I have been riding the RG3 bandwagon since he came into the league, and I'm not about to jump off it now. So if I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to go down with the ship. But, boy, he got shellaxed against the Texans. That's all I have to say about that. I mean, oofda. It's going to be a rough season, and my pick's going to look pretty silly by the end of the year, but who knows? Maybe he'll get things figured out and turned around. And although I kind of doubt it, but
okay. Now looking, their roster makeup with those receivers, their speed guys. Why was everything dinking and dunking? Like, did he just not have time, or was that like the obvious game plan? Like, did you get to watch?
I didn't get to watch any of that game. I didn't get that game, unfortunately. But from the highlights that I saw, I just saw J.J. Watt completely terrorizing RG3 every time he dropped back to pass.
That'd make me want to throw short, too. Just get it out of my hands as fast as I could.
Yeah, he didn't really have a whole lot of time from what I saw to pass the ball a lot. But yeah, I mean, either way, we both agree that division doesn't seem like it's super strong. Which will bring us to the last division in the NFC, which actually a lot of people think is the strongest. Brett, if you go away from your pick, I'm going to be mad at you, but I was going to pick the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm staying with my pick of the Seattle Seahawks.
See, now I know before, I think it was before the draft, maybe it was after the draft.
It might have been right after that you were breaking up a certain team.
I was saying San Francisco was the more, I think overall, at least in the starting lineups, definitely the more talented team. But between injuries and suspensions and possible
goodness.
I will pick the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh my. Yeah, everyone, he's changing his pick. He picked the 49ers before.
I didn't pick them for anything. I just
said
that I think that they
calm
were,
down. This is ridiculous.
They're the better team. The better, more talented starting lineup.
Yes, they are. Also, fun fact, Russell Wilson is 6-0 against Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Breeze, and Rodgers.
I saw that.
That's ridiculous. Granted, none of those guys have the defense that he has, but still.
That's true. Or The running game.
or the leadership. That might be a bit much.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, fine. So we both agree Seattle's. No, I can't believe you're not going to pick your 49ers. You love Colin Kaepernick.
I think he's a skilled player. He's just, I don't know. That team, something right now on that team is just a little off. And I'm not basing that on their preseason, really. Obviously, they came out and they won their first week's game against, was it Dallas, who looked terrible. Thanks, Tony Romo. But, I mean, it's going to be close. I just think the way Seattle has played, that towards the end of last year, actually all of last year, and, in the one game we saw so far this year, like, they might be even better this year. I mean, because I think Russ Wilson's going to be better, and that's obviously a major improvement for any team when your quarterback takes a step up.
Oh, it helps if Percy Harvin's healthy. For at
And
least,
Percy
at least
being
a
healthy.
few games right now, yes.
I think last year the offensive line, the tackles were hurt or something, and they played terrible. So right now those guys are healthy, so that's going to help, pass protect as well as perhaps in the run game. And the guards, I think.
Fine for losing pieces.
What's that?
I thought defense looked fine for losing pieces. Freaking O'Brien Schofield came in harassing people. Come on.
He got a lot of playing time in the Super Bowl too, though. But yeah, they like to have him in there and when it's obvious pass downs, and then they have Cliff Averill and Michael Bennett do like rushing the passer stuff, and he can just spy because him and Cliff are quick and fast enough. If they need to spy a quarterback, they can. So, but the other two can also just straight up rush the passer and have the defensive tackle sit there in the middle too, and all of a sudden the quarterback's got nowhere to go. It's a good defense.
That's fair. So we'll stay with the NFC. So who are your two wild cards? I'm gonna stick with the picks that I made, even though I'm a little hesitant right now.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good one. I gotta go San Francisco as one. I mean, like I said, I think they were amongst, or not, if not the most talented and skilled team. Man, the second team. It's a good question. It's a really good question. I don't think Carolina. I think they take a step back from last year. I can't go Tampa as much as I would love for their defense to be great for my fantasy team's sake. Yes, I'm gonna go with San Francisco, and you know what? I am gonna take one prisoner of the moment thing, and they played St. Louis, but I'm gonna just go Minnesota as a shock the world sort of prediction here.
I'm just not even gonna. Really? That's
Yep.
all right. It's mine. All right. So let's see. I'm gonna pick to get the 5th place wild card. I'm gonna take taking the Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
And my last wild card spot's gonna go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I said, I'm keeping my picks. Tampa Bay couldn't beat a backup quarterback, so I'm not feeling too good about my pick of deciding that Tampa Bay was going to be good this year. But by the way, Josh McCown, oh my! Did you see the pass where he fumbled it, picked it back up, and then tried to throw it again and got picked off? Oh my gosh! That was probably a silly pick, but yeah, I'm gonna stay with it. So Tampa Bay's gonna be in the wild card, and I picked the Bears just because I think the NFC North will be competitive, and not that I don't like the 49ers, but I just think that they play a really tough schedule, and record-wise, I think they might be behind. Well, now realistically, they'll probably be the 6th wild card spot, but oh, look at that, Green Bay might have to play them.
God damn it! No. Just not San Francisco. I can handle any other team right now other than San Francisco in the playoffs. For whatever reason, it just doesn't work out for us. Them and the Giants, we just can't ever play those teams again.
It's true. So those are our NFC picks. I guess we can jump over to the AFC. We'll we'll start with the AFC North. So I'm gonna stick once again with my pick. Both the Ravens and Steelers missed the playoffs last year. I'm sorry, Cincinnati, come on. Like, they have all the talent on their team, but I just think they have trouble putting it together. And the Steelers made a late run last year, and I think, even though they might be currently losing now, I'm picking the Steelers to win the AFC North.
So they're currently losing.
Oh, jeez. But I will make a side note. I would have maybe considered the Browns if they would have started Johnny Football, but because Brian Hoyer he's going to cost them all their games, it's going to be too late. Okay, go ahead. What? Oh, and shout out to Jim Leonard on the Browns. I'm sorry, I'm done.
No, that's good. That's good. I'm going Cincinnati. I do think that for the most part, the other teams in that division are not that good. I don't expect Cincinnati to make much noise once they get to the playoffs. And again, I think that comes down to quarterback play. Dalton's good enough to not make them miss the playoffs, but he's not good enough to help them in the playoffs.
It's a good way to put it.
I think I said that right. He's just like right where they need to be to make the playoffs, but he can't do much else after that. But I mean, defensively, I think they'll be all right. Though they'd give up. No, it was only 16 points. So yeah, they'll be all right. Just need that offense, and if Andy Dalton ever does take the next step, I think that'd be a dangerous team.
Makes sense. So with that, we'll move on to the AFC South, which pretty sure we're both gonna pick the same team. At least I would think. I'm picking the Colts, kind of by default. The Colts are the only team. I don't know about Blake Bortles, but they're not playing him anyways. But the Colts are the only team that have the franchise quarterback. I mean, sorry, guys.
It's true. You just...
If you put luck on any of those other teams, I would probably consider picking the other team instead. It was like all those years where the Packers were dominant in the NFC North, and if they're like, if you put Favre on any of the other teams, all of a sudden that team might be the favorite. Well, I find myself in that situation with the Colts. I'm picking the Colts because they have luck.
You just hope that they start fast. Like last week against Denver, obviously fell behind. They caught back up, and they were, they had the ball on a final possession to tie it up somehow. And that seems to be where they're at a lot. Like, for whatever reason, they just fall behind, and they have to rely on luck, airing it out to catch back up. And you can't do that every single week, and remain successful. But like you said, fortunately for them, they play with Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Houston. So I am going to pick the Colts. I'd love to compare our picks now to what we said, by the way, back in May.
Right?
I just want to see if what we're saying about these teams has changed. So my mindset.
Well, I know what you changed, at least one.
I didn't change.
Let's see. So that would bring us to the AFC East, where I know they lost, but I picked the Patriots to win that division, and I'm still staying with the Patriots even though they lost to Miami. I get it, but the game was in Miami, and I mean it was a whooping. They had their butts kicked, but I definitely expect the next time the Patriots play in Miami that they'll end up winning that game.
I think the Patriots are 6-7 in Miami under Tom Brady. That for whatever reason they just don't play well in Miami. So that game, while yes, it was kind of you look at the score sheet and you're like, wait, am I reading that right? But it's happened more often than not with Tom Brady as quarterback. But I agree. I'm going to go New England anyway. Despite every other team in that division winning.
Yeah, actually.
The Jets and Buffalo actually won as well, so New England's already got a game behind everybody. Obviously, luckily for them, it's 1 week. I think offensively, they'll figure some stuff out. And then someone I follow on Twitter is he's from Boston. He's a big football guy. And he said that in his opinion, it looked like the defense was doing what Belichick always does, and that's kind of just testing things out and running base sort of stuff and not really getting into it. So the defense should get better too as this goes on.
Makes sense. So bringing us to our last division, the AFC West. I'm once again pretty sure that we're going to pick the same team. I could be wrong, but
I don't think you are.
Oh, we're picking different teams.
No, we're picking the same.
Oh,
You're not wrong.
I was like, I'm picking Denver, but maybe, I mean, I've heard some people think the Chargers are going to be good, and they do play Manning tough every time they play him. So, but no, I'm picking the Denver Broncos.
Yep. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
yep.
That's all I have to say. Yeah, they should. Yeah.
And again, this is one of those weird instances where they were the only team to win. Kind of like Philly. Peyton, that offense, Wes Walker maybe coming back from a suspension is going to help you even more, at least for the first couple games, if they approve, that new drug policy, which is supposed to happen Tuesday, supposed to happen tonight, and I haven't heard anything yet. So who really knows when and if it happens? But when it does, Walker will be back. So offensively, they'll just outscore everyone. It doesn't even matter what their defense does, and their defense is supposed to be better this year than it was last year, and they made it to the Super Bowl. So I don't see any reason for them not to win.
Let's see. So wild card picks.
The AFC stinks. That's all I can say by looking at these teams.
I have the Bengals making the 5th spot, and let's see, in the 6th spot. Oh, duh. I have the Chargers making the playoffs in the 6th spot.
Okay, so you went Cincinnati and San Diego?
Correct.
I will agree with you on San Diego. Man, that 6th team again is. I almost just want to pick another random stunner just because it would be fun and interesting, but I can't because that offense is just too bad.
Oh, you picked the Bills.
I could pick the Bills, but no. Man. You know what? He's gonna save his job again, somehow. You just year by year keep saving.
Jets?
The Jets, yeah. I'm gonna go with the Jets.
Wow. Fair enough. So there you go. There's our picks. Who we think's gonna win the divisions and make the playoffs this year in the NFL. Yeah, just any closing thoughts you have about anything maybe you witnessed this weekend, or?
Well, for one, I'm just gonna say it. I mean, it was a little rough on Cordell Patterson back in the day, which was just all of last year. And you were always a supporter. At least in that first week, he looked pretty good.
You know, 100 yards rushing and 100 yards receiving.
So yeah, he looked okay.
He looked okay. You better hope he keeps looking okay if you want your pick to be right.
Oh yeah, I picked him, didn't I? Yeah. I mean, there's that. Other than that, I mean, that's probably like my biggest, at least from like an individual player sort of takeaway. And it's interesting too because I read something that said, the Rams during that draft told him, they're like, hey, we're going to take you at wherever we select. I think it was 10. I don't know if they traded up for that spot though. I think they did. And instead, they took Tavon Austin, who, if they used him the exact same way Minnesota used Patterson, he might be as effective. But for whatever reason, they aren't, or they can't, or Tavon Austin's not that good. So obviously, last week when those two teams played each other, it was kind of like, oh, hey, look what could have been, but isn't, because you guys messed up.
Yeah. See, I should just be an NFL scout. Because I remember I was talking to you and I was watching game tape of Cordell Patterson at Tennessee, and I was like, dude, this kid is awesome. I was like, he's just making people look silly. Like, his run after the catch ability was awesome.
Yeah, I think you said that the way he ran and set stuff up, and then like while running, near top speed, was able to change direction and
Yeah.
kind of weave. Impressed you. I do remember that.
And it translated. God, hey, Green Bay, sign me up right now.
Is there any impressions that you had from this first weekend, either from a player or team perspective?
That I'm not as impressed with San Francisco as I thought I should be. Yes, I know they throttled the Cowboys, and yes, I get that they have suspensions and people are injured, but to be honest, like the Cowboys, I thought moved the ball pretty well on them for being supposed to being such a dominant defense. And they controlled the. I mean, to be fair, once again, the Cowboys have invested tons of picks in their offensive line, but that offensive line led by your boy Travis Frederick, dude, they were just put. You know how long it's been since I've seen a team like just physically like push the San Francisco defense around like that? It doesn't ever happen with the Packers, so I don't get to see it then. But I mean, like they were blowing those guys off the line like every play. I mean, I know they lost, but it just kind of, for me, it kind of exposed, I guess, a little bit. And San Francisco, their secondary minus Eric Reed, I mean, everyone else, they're not good. I mean, and they had a couple guys get hurt too, but they're really thin in the secondary.
It's true. They'll have to, try to generate some pass rush or something without Aldon Smith. How long is he suspended, right? For how long?
9 games, I think.
Like half the season either way.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just Chris Borland doesn't even start. Doesn't play at all, actually. He plays on special teams. That's it. I think the guy that starts in front of him is an undrafted guy.
He's been there.
The guy from Stanford, right?
No, because the guy that started was Will Hoyt.
Aw, dang it. I don't know who it is then. Never mind.
Michael Will Hoyt. I think he's been there for a few years, so.
Oh, that's fair then.
He's a big dude.
So yeah, I mean, Kaepernick still. I mean, they really didn't have to do a whole lot. I felt like they were in control of the whole game, but the Cowboys did, I think, shut them out in the second half. I think they scored all 28 of their points in the first half, and then didn't score at all again in the second. But yeah, I guess that was my takeaway, was that I think the 49er defense does have some people or some vulnerabilities that could be exposed by other teams. Mainly teams like the Seahawks right now, I think, would throttle them in the game. But
yeah. I also want to mention the Giants and Eli Manning and that offense. And, you saw him do like a lot of hand signals or whatever, and then all of a sudden the receivers didn't know what his hand signals meant, so they ran the wrong way, or they just weren't on the same page. And, I know they got a new offensive coordinator, used to be the quarterback's coach with Green Bay.
Yep.
And I saw something, I didn't read the whole thing, but it said that it might take Eli still like half a season before he even gets the offense down all the way. So, I'm expecting troubles for quite a long time with that offense, and the way that the rest of that team's playing, it's obviously not going to be good enough for them to win games.
Right, I agree with you. Yeah, the Giants were pretty disappointing, I thought. We'll see, though. It's a long season. There's definitely always things that can happen.
And before we go, too, you said something off camera before we started about Houston and how you think they might do with if one thing happens.
Well, if Fitzpatrick plays good, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be in the playoffs, to be honest. If he can play turnover-free football, he'll give the team a chance, because that defense is really good. And I'm not just saying that because they smashed RG3. I legitimately think that defense is going to be really good. If they can keep Fitzpatrick from fumbling and throwing interceptions, I really think they'll be there, especially in the AFC, because the AFC is weaker.
Plus that division itself with Jacksonville and Tennessee is the other two teams.
And we didn't mention anything about Tennessee. They won against the Chiefs pretty thoroughly. It could almost be like how the Chiefs were last year when they made the playoffs. They went from having the first pick to making the playoffs. The same thing I think could happen with the Texans this year. I didn't call it would happen, but if it does happen, it wouldn't surprise me too much because I do think that team has a lot of talent on it.
Yeah, and you look at Jake Locker and wondering like if and when he's going to step up. When he's been healthy, he's played okay. Like he's not a terrible quarterback. It's just he hasn't always been healthy.
Yep.
You've never got to see it for a full season. So I mean, if he at least keeps track and doesn't get hurt, again within that conference and that division, they should be at least pretty competitive.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
So.
Yeah, that's about all I got. You got anything else you want to add?
I don't think so, man. I think it's time for bed.
Yeah, that sounds good. So we'll try and get another podcast out relatively quickly. Hopefully to analyze some of the games that we watch this weekend. So.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, I did put something up today on our website, brettandmattshow.com. If you guys want to read that, it's in the blog section. And I plan on having another part, like a part 2 of that, up sometime this weekend. So keep an eye out for that as well.
Nice.
All right, man. Cool. See you guys later.